Okay, this video is going to help you changing fractions into decimals. So if I have a fraction, to change that into a decimal by hand, I do long division. I divide the bottom number into the top number. Make sure, again, you set it up like that. You're dividing 4 into 1, not 1 into 4. 4 is too big to go into 1. So what I do, I add a decimal. And that lets me, when I go to the next place over, put a 0 there. And now I'm doing 4 into 10 goes twice. Times 4 times 2 gives me 8. So old-fashioned arithmetic long division. Next spot lets me bring down another 0 and do 4 into 20. That goes 5 times. And then since that stops, that's my terminating decimal. That means it stops. So 1/4, you could write it 0.25 if you want. You could write that 0.25 and someone would understand that's the same decimal if you want. So good job. Next one, 8 into 11. Let's shrink this down a little bit. Again, it's good old-fashioned long division. If you're doing this on a calculator, you type the top number first. 11 divided by 8. If you're doing long division, 11 divided by 8 has 8 on the outside. And then for this one, 8 can go in 11 once. Subtract gives me a 3, and then I don't want a remainder, so I put a decimal here, which lets me bring down a 0, and then I do 8 into 30. So that goes 3 times, I believe, gives me 24. Subtract that, gives me 6. Next spot over lets me bring down a 0. 8 goes into 60. At this point here, I'm going to start using my calculator. I'm not sure if you have access to calculators, but 8 goes in about 7 times. That is 7 times 8, which is 56. One more 0 comes down, and looks like it goes into that 5 times without a remainder. So I kept going until I got no remainder. So that one is 1.375, and that makes sense that it's bigger than that 0.025 at the top because this one has a bigger number on top. 1/2 is something you should memorize, which is a half. If I do 2 into 1, decimal 0, 5, that is one you should memorize. 1/2, 50% is 0.5 or 0.5. 7 over 10, that is 10 into 7 goes 7 times 0.7. So that is 0.7 or 0.7. All right, 9 out of 10 is 0.9. Knowing that if it's one number over 10, 0.9. If it was two numbers over 100, it's 0.12. Know that. Those are the little tricks. 5 over 10 is 0.5. Two numbers over 10 is, or over 100 is 0.12. 7 over 10 is 0.7. 75 over 100 is 0.75. So some of those with tens, you should just start to commit to memory there. All right, next one. I got 9/5. So let's shrink this down a little bit. Again, some of those I think you should memorize. Basic long division, doing it by hand. All right, let's keep going. So number 9 or 4, divide 5 into 9, goes once. Decimal brings down a 0, goes 8 times. So 1.8. 6 into 15 goes twice. Decimal lets me bring down a 0, goes 5 times. So 2.5. All right, 4/7 again, bottom. If you're using a calculator, you type the 7 first, and then the division button, and then 4. So if you're using a calculator, know the order. 4 and the 7 goes once. Decimal lets me bring down a 0. 4 and the 30 goes 7 times. Bring down another 0, goes 5 times. So I believe that becomes 1.75. All right, looking at these, which of the following is equivalent to 5 over 1? So you could divide 5 into 1 and see what you get. Looks like I got to add a decimal. That gives me 0.2. So that's one way of doing it. I know that 1/5 is 0.2. Another way is scaling that up to 10, because like I said, if you get any fraction over 10, it's that number as a decimal right away. So another way of doing that. All right, next one, which is equivalent to 6 over 100. So this is something I need you to know. Any number over 10 is 0.7, 1 decimal place. Any number over 100 is automatically 2 decimal places. Any number over 1,000 is 3 decimal places, but this one's tricky because this is 0.6. So 6 over 100, you would be mistaken if you wrote that as 0.6. That's really 6 over 10 or 60%. So for something like this, points for 6, you got to move this decimal. It's going to be 6. Let's just do the division. Into 6. Can't go into that. So I got to bring down a 0. Still can't go into that. So I put a 0 up here, which lets me to the next spot over go one more 0 here. And then finally I get 6. So you can see 6 over 100 is not 0.6. It's 0.06. That's the only one that really matches 6 over 100. All those other ones do not. This 0.6 is really 6 over 10 or 60%. 0.06 is 6 over 100 or 6%. So a little bit difference there. All right. Hope this helped a little bit. We'll get going when I meet you.